Okay, so this is the introduction to Maya. My name is Ray Mungy, and this is for Pulse College. As you can see here, we've got the main viewport. This is the perspective viewport. By tapping the spacebar quickly, we can see other panels here, which will, for example, here the top viewport, front, and the side. Wherever we're hovering our mouse and we tap the spacebar, it will basically maximize that view panel. If we go to our menu subset here and into polygons, and on our shelves here, just make sure we're on polygons as well, and here we can create polygonal objects. If I click on the cube, for example, we can click and drag out, let go, and then it gives you more instructions. Drag up the set height, so I'm going to click with the left mouse button and drag up. Now we're seeing it in wireframe at the minute, which is this icon here. We can also press number 5 on our keyboard, which would change it to shaded view, and holding the Alt key and the left mouse button together, we can rotate or orbit around the object. If we hold the Alt key and middle mouse click, that's the scroll wheel button, if we click on that with the Alt key, we can pan the scene. And lastly, if we hold Alt and use the right mouse click button, we can dolly the camera in and out. Now with any objects that you're beginning in Maya here, a good practice would be to go up inside the channel box. So if I click on channel box, it will bring it up. You can also use these options here to hide and show the channel box and the sliders on the side here. Inside the channel box, we can select the P cube 1, which is basically the polygonal cube, and it's the first one that we created in the scene. So if we click on this, we can now rename this and call it chair model. Hit return. Below that, first of all, we've got the translate X, Y, and Z. We can click on this and put that to 0, so the object will then center. We can also click and drag down each of these, hit 0, hit return, and it centers our chair object or our chair model directly into the center of the Maya world, which is in the grid spacing. If I turn back on wireframe mode, you can see that the center point of the grid here. If we wanted to add more detail to this or change this shape in any way, we can go to the inputs below, hit on polycube 1, and here we can change the width and the height. So we can select the width here, maybe type in 10, the height we want that to maybe 2, and the depth to 10 as well. Now, as well as clicking in it and changing the values or click dragging to select these, we can just simply click on any of the attributes here, so the width for example, and then using the middle mouse button we can click and drag left or right to change it in the viewport. So I'm going to click the height here and drag it left to bring the value down, and for the depth we'll bring that out a bit. Also inside the inputs here we can change the subdivisions. So if I select the subdivisions width there and middle mouse click again and dragging inside the viewport here, we can drag it out so that's 3, so we got 3 subdivisions. For the height, we don't want any height subdivisions for this example, but for the subdivisions depth we can again select here and tap on 3 and hit return. Now using the toolbox over here, we can select the object, which we haven't selected at the minute. If we go to the move tool, we've also got rotate and scale. Keyboard shortcuts for these will be W, E, R, so if we hit the W key we can get the move transform, where we can click on the arrows and move the object in any direction. I'm going to hit Z or Control Z to undo them last 2 actions. If we hit E, which is the rotate tool, we can then click on any of the axes here. Again, red, green, blue correspond to RGB, so we can rotate in the different axes. As you see in there, if you drag it in the center, it's going to rotate it in all three at the same time. Sometimes helpful, most of the time not, so maybe forget about that for the minute. The R key will bring us to scale, so hitting the R key, and now we can actually scale the object. I'm going to undo that for the minute. Now basically I want to move all these edges out to the side and all these edges out to the side, and the same for these guys here. For this I'm going to tap the space bar first of all. I'm going to go into say the side view, and we can just hit space bar there to maximize this view. I'm going to right click on the object. I've got different options for edge, vertex and face. For the minute I'm just going to select vertex, which is each of the points. I'm going to left click and drag out to select these, and I can hit or I still have the scale tool selected, so I'm going to click and drag these out to about there and hit the space bar again. For the next one I can probably even do it in the perspective window, so I'm going to hit the space bar to bring up the perspective window, holding Alt and left mouse button to rotate around the view. I'm going to click and drag to select all the verts around the object here, and I'm going to scale them out in the x-axis. Remember, x is red, as you can see down here. Click and drag on that to bring it out. Now if this is going to be a chair model that we're creating, it would probably need to be raised a bit, like just to keep everything on grid for the minute. So I'm going to go back to the move tool. If I move the object now, we're still in vertex mode, so it's going to select the vertex and actually move them up. That's not what we want in this case, so I'm going to right click on the object and go back to object mode. Now we can select the object. It's the same as object mode here, or going into separate components as in edge, vertex and face. So I'm just going to simply drag in the y-axis, as you can see down here again, to move this up. I'm going to look underneath the object, holding Alt and left mouse button. I'm going to right click on it now and go to face. So here you can see that we can select all the faces, so all the polygonal faces. I'm going to select the four corners one, so here, holding down shift and clicking on this, holding down shift, clicking here, and the last one here with my finger still on the shift key. Now we can go up to the extrude, or we can go to edit mesh, extrude here, so either will do. One point about this, we've got keep faces together. We're going to keep this checked here at the minute. There's no need to click on this for the minute. If I hit the extrude tool here, it will change the gizmos so that we have the move, scale and the rotate all together. So with all the faces selected, it's going to add an extrude to these. So now we can click on this arrow and drag that down to wherever it meets the grid. It doesn't have to be precise at the minute, but we can also go in there and start scaling that. Because the extrude operation was the last one that we selected, the next face that we select, we can then just hit the G key and that will go to extrude, and now we can pull out this face. Alt middle mouse button to drag it down to view it at a different angle. Maybe we want to move this face just back a bit, or to rotate it. Now instead of selecting here and rotating, because the angle will be completely off, I'm going to select just this axis, so clicking on this semicircle that we can see here, so just bringing that back a bit. And again we can hit G, move this face up, bring this back a bit, or again to rotate, and say once more G again to bring this up. Now if you wanted to make some sort of a padding up the top, we could easily do that by selecting this face here, this one here, or this and this one here. Now at the same time we can just select one face, select another one that's beside it, hold down shift because we're going to select the both of them, but this time double click. So if I double click there, it would actually select the whole loop, so the whole ring of faces there. Now we can go back into extrude by hitting the G key again. We can bring this out a bit, as you can see it's coming out there. and then maybe click on the scale icon here to just scale it down a bit. So we've created an interesting shape there. For the minute, that seems to be okay. We've got a nice object of a chair here. We'll move on and do some more advanced features later on. So thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.